We have 3 rows done, but what about 3B? Hey everyone, Cristin Som here, and we are continuing with our We Whisk You a Merry Christmas. And oh boy, we're getting really far along. So we have the first 3 rows completely done. All 3 rows. How cool is that? And many of us did our sashings in between. Don't do your sashing on the bottom of row 3 like I did. I made a mistake and I had to actually pick it out. We don't want that because there's a 3B that we have to do. So we're going to work on that today. It is the patchwork row 3B. All right, and it's similar to that patchwork row that we did after 1, but that one was just red, white, red, white. This one is multi different fabrics. And I'm going to do mine a little bit differently, but I'm going to give you lots of options. All right, so let's talk about what we need. And it's a really simple, look at just, ooh, so simple. So I'm going to show you the fabrics in order, so make sure, I guess it depends on how you want it, right? Your quilt's your way. So however you want it, but I'm going to show you the way that they have them laid out in the book as far as the patchwork row, all right? Each of these are 2.5 inches. I didn't actually write that down, but I believe it was 2.5 by 2.5. I should make sure just real quick because I didn't write that little note down. Let's see, patchwork block 2.5 by 2.5. Okay, so 2.5 by 2.5 for each of these. And I did back mine all with fusible stabilizer. That's totally optional, up to you. These are going to also have batting because we're going to quilt them. That's optional as well, but I am definitely going to quilt mine. So again, I'm just going to show you real quick each one as they come in order. So the first one is, let me get them apart here. The first one is the red and black. I don't know what the name of it is, but oh, this is one of my favorites. I really love this one. So the red, white, and black for your first one, 2.5 by 2.5. And then the next one is the green with Christmas items on it. And don't forget that these are retired, so you may have gotten substitutions from our sponsor, and that's totally fine as well. All right, so the green with the multi-Christmas items on it. And then the brown, similar to that red one, the brown with different browns on it. All right, it's like a gingham. Would you call it a gingham? I don't know. All right, and then the gray with multi-Christmas items on it, 2.5 by 2.5. And then the green, I should know what this is called since there's so many of them, but I don't. So the green, black with red lining on this one. So 2.5 by 2.5. And then the next one is the brown with Christmas items on it. And again, 2.5 by 2.5. I've got a little string on mine. There we go. 2.5 by 2.5. And then the next one is the black, white with red. All right, 2.5 by 2.5. And then the green with multi-Christmas items on it. And then the red. So make sure to put these in the order that you want, or follow along if you want them the same as the book. Red, black, and white for the next one. And then for the next one, it is the brown with gingerbread Christmas items on it, peppermint stockings. How cute. Did you notice it's the same? Look at the stocking. That's the same as the cookie block we did yesterday. And the gingerbread is a little different because it's got the peppermints on there, but so cute. I love that a lot of the Kimberbell fabrics match different elements of the quilt. All right, then the next one is the green, black, and red, 2.5 by 2.5. And look at, there's the bell. Remember the bell that we just did on our cookie blocks. So 2.5 by 2.5 for the Christmas items. That's the gray one. And then the brown with brown or tan. All right. And then the green with multiple Christmas items on it. Look at the tree. Very cute. All right. And then the last one is the black, white, and red. All right. The checkered dots. Checkered gingham, I don't know what you call it, but plaid, that's probably what it's called. Plaid, it's some sort of plaid. Now that I'm done, I think of what it should be called. All right, so that's what we need, 2.5 by 2.5 on each of those. Now here's the part that you can choose. You can put them all in however many hoopings that works for you, and you can quilt each one separately and then sew them together. All right, That's absolutely an option. You can do that, whatever works for you, or you can sew them all together and then quilt them. And if you're going to do it that way, then you're going to want some batting. So the batting is going to be, let's see, 2 inches times 30 inches. It's not quite long enough, so I'm just going to do it in a couple of pieces until I get to the length that I want. So 2 inches wide, though, no wider than that, because we're going to put it on, let's see if beforehand. I'm going to quilt mine. I'm going to put the batting on just like how we did those, the sashing strips. I'm going to do it the same way. So I'm going to put my batting on first, take off those first 2 steps of the quilting. So 2 inches wide for your batting, and then the length, which will be 30 inches. All right, depending on your quilt, actually, you should measure your quilt. But there are 15 blocks that are 2.5 inches, but when we use that 1/4 inch seam allowance, it will equal out to 30, and then 0.5 because it'll have a 1/4 inch on each side for that seam allowance. So again, you can do them all in the hoop if you prefer. That's absolutely an option. Or you can go ahead and sew them together. Now, if you sew them together, if you do them individually, you can put whatever quilting design that you want. That would be 2 inches, all right? No larger than 2 inches on each of those blocks, all right? Or sew them all together and you can get a whole row, just like how we did the sashing. So you could do, there's quite a few really cute ones. I'm just going to point out a few. So some of the ones we already used, you could use the Christmas tree one. You could, I think it was called tree. I don't remember. Let me look real quick here. We just did it. So any of the ones that we just used on the cookie blocks would be super cute. So Christmas 3 is the one with the trees. Christmas 2 has the candy canes and peppermints on it. Christmas 8, so the stockings, that would be super cute. I have to say, the stockings would be very cute. There was another one that I was thinking. So I wrote myself a bunch of little notes here. So if you did Christmas 1 in like, depending on your hoop size, so say you're going to use a 8x12 hoop, you could do the 2x12 design, and it's going to have a bunch of Christmas things on there and gingerbread and really cute. That would be super cute. That's Christmas 1. Hobby 1, which we used a lot of, that would work really well as well. Christmas 8 is the stockings, like I said. Christmas 10, I have to tell you, I almost was like, oh, I got to do this, but I decided against it. But Christmas 10 is Santa with reindeer, and it's like the sleigh and then a bunch of reindeer. That would be so cute. So that's something to consider. Christmas 10, that would be really adorable. So I wanted to not have too many quilting designs that it would be overwhelming for you to purchase. So I chose, I'm going to use Christmas 1, but I'm going to do it a little differently. So again, you have the option. You could do Christmas 1 in whatever hoop size, a 2-inch design, and whatever hoop length that you have. So like a 2x12 design or a 2x10 design, whatever. And that would have a bunch of Christmas things on it. That would be super duper cute. I'm going to do something that's a little bit of a stretch, just because it'll be fun and different. That 2x2 Christmas, what is it? The 2x2 gingerbread boy. He is so cute, and I want to do that on each block. So this will be different. It will be very different. So I could put down each of the blocks separately on my hoop, but I don't want to do that. I think that seems like a lot of work. But so I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to sew my entire row together. And I'm going to go to the computer and I'm going to put 2x2 of gingerbread, 2x2 of gingerbread, 2x2 of gingerbread. And I think that'll be so cute and fun to try something different, a different element. It will have a gingerbread boy in the middle of each of those blocks. So that's what I'm going to do. I will have to move them around and figure out what will work with my hoop and take out some of the steps. So it will be a stretch exercise if you choose to do that with me, totally up to you. But I'm going to do the gingerbread boy. I think that would be really cute. And I'm going to very likely do all of them in white so that they can kind of stand out on these very busy blocks. I think that that would be just fun and cute. So that's what I've been planning from the start. And I thought long and hard about it because I'm telling you, though, Santa with reindeer was awfully cute. The simplicity of just doing Christmas 2 was pretty appealing. But I think that this would be a fun stretch to actually like create our own design. So I'm going to show you. It's going to be interesting because I still want the placement and tack down of the long strip. And so I'm going to have to play around with it, and I'm going to show you. I haven't tried it yet or anything, but I'm going to basically like make my own design with these gingerbread, just gingerbread. I think it'll be really fun. So choose to join me on that if you want. If not, that's okay. Whatever, you've got lots of options. Any design that you want that is 2 inches wide by whatever hoop size you're going to use, okay? Something that will equal out to 30 preferably, but that's again up to you as well. So 30 inches of quilting is what I'm hoping for. So I'm going to do that gingerbread boy 15 times. But if you're doing just one long strip, then you could do 2 by 12 2 times and then a 2 by 7. I think that's what it worked out for our sashings. I don't remember off the top of my head, but very likely something like that. And whatever excess will just run off onto your stabilizer. So it's not going to matter. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I'm going to bring you over to the computer and I'm going to play around and do a stretch exercise on this for myself. You can choose to join in, or you can choose to do something a little bit easier, whatever works for you. And again, you can do each of them separately and sew them together afterwards, or you can sew them together and then do a long strip. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Hey everyone, I am at my computer now with my awesome microphone. Oh my gosh, aren't you loving the new microphone? It works so well. I'm very happy with it. So I'm going to open up Embellishment Essentials and I'm going to show you 2 different ways. I haven't decided which way I'm going to do this yet. And again, there's lots of options as far as different quilting designs in a row or individually or however you want to do it. So I'm going to show you 2 options. I've decided on my 9x14 hoop, so I can see right down here my hoop size. If you're not on the hoop size that you want, go up to this preferences folder, click on that, and then choose the hoop size that you want and say okay, and then click on this compass and click H for hoop. It'll zoom in. All right. So I'm going to start by just bringing in my quilting design. I'm going to start by doing them all individually, since some people may choose to do that. So I'm going to go to merge stitch file and I'm going to find the quilting design. I'm using Christmas 1 is the one that I'm using. Let's see, block by block Pez. All right, so I'm going to choose the 2x2 design. See that little gingerbread boy? Isn't that so cute? I think that would be really fun. So I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to go ahead, let's see here. I'm going to need to change the colors now that I think about it. There's that blue and the orange, and so we want to make sure to change those so they don't group together when we do a color sort later. So I'm just going to change 2 of them because the others are already all different. We're going to save some time today. So I'm going to click on 1, 3, click on the color, and I'm going to choose dark aqua and say okay. And then 1, 4, click on the color. I'm going to choose Blaze and say okay. All the rest are already different colors, so it's not going to matter. Click outside so that nothing is selected, and then click on the entire design. I closed it. You don't have to do that, but I closed it by clicking that minus sign. All right, and then once it's all selected, you can go ahead and move it to where you want it. Now I'm going to move things kind of weird because I'm going to show you how to align and distribute them, which is quite a bit harder when it's all a bunch of them in one hoop. I had to test this quite a bit. So let's go ahead and do a copy and paste. So I'm going to click on this first one and I'm going to say Control C to copy it and then Control V like victory to paste it. It goes right over on the top. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to bring it down. And you know what? I'm going to do it haphazardly to show you how we can do this. So remember that we changed the colors in that first one. So we don't need to do it since we copied that first one. We don't need to change the colors again. All right, so there's the second one. I'm going to click outside. I'm going to say Control V like victory for the third one. And I'm just going to click on the design and bring it down. All right, and then Control V like victory to paste a fourth one. And I'm doing them down. You can do them across. You can do them down. I found it a lot easier to do down when I was doing my align and distribute, just so you know. All right, so Control V for one more. I'm going to get 5 in this row here, and those ones are done. I'm going to go ahead and close these up, And I'm going to show you, I can go ahead and do it now, I can do it later, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and click on these 1 through 5, and I'm going to say utility, align and distribute. And for the align, if I recall, it was the top center only. Let's see, apply. Yep. All right. So what that does is it moves them to align them all, so you can see that they're all in the same line now. And then I want to go to distribute, and from my notes it was center, center, and then click apply. And you saw what it does is it makes it so that it's distributed the same amount of space in between. So if they were like too close together, and we'll make the next set even more haphazard so you can see the change more. All right, and then close that off. Now it did bring them out further from the hoop, so I'm going to go ahead, while they're all highlighted, I'm going to use my left arrow key, and I'm just going to bring them over. I did it. Let's see. There we go. All right, so that first set is done. Now I'm going to say control. Oh, you know what you could do? I didn't even think of this. Once you get those, you can just you can highlight all of those. They're already aligned. How easy. I didn't even think of that. Control C for all 5, and then Control V like victory, and it goes right over the top, and look at that. We don't have to do the align and distribute again. I wanted to do it a little bit more haphazardly so you could see it, but you don't need to. All right, so that was super easy. I'm going to say Control V again to do a third set. And remember, you have to have all 5 selected to be able to do this. You could group them and all that, but you really don't need to once you've got them all selected. All right, that was extremely easy. All right, I'm just closing up these designs. We have 15 of them, and look at that. They're all nicely distributed and aligned. Everything's all good. That was very easy. All right, so we have 75 color steps. Oh, this is why I was thinking I wanted to do them in a row, one big row, rather than all these individuals. But all right, so there's 75, but we should be able to bring this way down. I'm going to open one and just take a look. So we have the first one is the placement of our tack down, placement of our batting, sorry, and then tack down of our batting, placement of our main fabric, tack down of our main fabric, and the quilting design. So we do need all of those. The only thing I will mention is that this 3 and 4, if you look at the size down here, it's 2.5 by 2.5. That's the same size as our fabric, so it very likely won't even catch. But it's good to have in case it does catch, because you want to have them held in place. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to color sort. I'm just closing these designs. So utility, color sort, and remember we have 75 right now, so it's going to think about it. And then notice we have the same, you want to have these same settings that I have. Oh, look at that, that's really cool. All right, sorry, back to where I was. So make sure you've got these same settings. The force applique, those are not checked, and then tolerance is at 0. This is very important to be able to get the same settings that I'm getting. All right, the design page has been reduced by 70 color changes. That means we're down to 5, so it's just the original 5. So all at once we'll put down the batting, all at once we'll put down the main fabric, and then all at once it's going to quilt them. So that's super easy. So I'm going to click New View to check it, and I'm going to open that up, and there is the placement of our batting for each of those, the tack down for the batting for each of those, and then the placement for the main fabric, and the tack down for the main fabric, and then all of the quilting designs. So that actually is really easy. So one thing that you could do on this, I will say, if you decide to do them all in one hooping like this, but individual squares, and then you'll sew them together after, one thing is you could put down one big piece of batting rather than a strip of batting, and you could take out, you would just put a piece of batting in your entire hoop. So you wouldn't need the placement for the batting. You would definitely want the tack down of the batting, because you are still going to trim around that. It's very important that you trim around your batting so that you're getting that seam allowance, for you're not going to have batting in your seams. But you could take away that first one. I'm going to go ahead and do that, because you could just put a whole piece of batting in your hoop. So I'm going to click on 1-1 and click delete, and then 1-2, that's the placement for our main fabric. You want that let's think about that. You're really just going to center it over your batting, but I think the placement will be important because you're going to want to line that square up just right and make sure that it's exactly right, because that it's going to be the same size as your fabric. So I think that that actually will be very important to line it up just right. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep the tack down, even though it probably won't tack down. It will maybe get a little corner, but for the most part, it's going to be the same size as our fabric. And then we have our quilting on each of those. So really, if you wanted, you could take this step out and just trust. You could either tape it in place if you worry about it, or trust that the batting is going to hold it in place, but you would want to watch it for sure. All right, totally up to you. And then there's our quilting on each of those. So that will be good. I'm going to take out this. Because it's 2.5 by 2.5. I'm sure it's not really going to tack down my fabric anyway. And I'm just going to watch it and trust that the batting will hold it in place. So I'm going to take that out too, but you don't need to. It's up to you. So I have my placement stitch for that's the tack down stitch for my batting. And then, because remember, I'm going to start with my batting. All right. And then there's my placement and my placement stitch for the main fabric, and then I'm not going to have the tack down, and then there is my quilting. So the negative is that it makes it a little bit harder on the tutorial if I do stuff like that. So I'm going to bypass it. I'm going to keep it in so that I remember to tell everybody. I'm going to keep those in. Let's see. I have my 5 back. I have 4. Do undo again, and I should have 5. There we go. All right, so but for you, make your decisions. You choose if you want to have those in or not. I'm going to have them in just so I can tell everybody with the tutorial. So I'm going to do a file, save stitch file as, and don't forget, I'm going to show you another way as well. So I'm going to go to my Whisk file, embroidery files. Actually, this is a quilting file. I'm going to do my quilting files. Let's see. We Whisk and my quilting, and this is Christmas 1 and embroidery files block by block Pez, and I'm going to name this 2 by 2 times 15. We have 15 blocks, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, all 15 in one. And I gotta do it. It was Pez. All right, so 2 by 2 times 15. That's what I'm saving mine as. This is Christmas 1. I think I'll still say Christmas 1. All right, save it. And I'm gonna send this to my machine in case I decide to do this version. I'm not sure yet. All right, you would just send it to a USB stick if your machine doesn't do the wireless. Okay, I have an interesting stretch exercise for you for those that choose, totally optional. So I'm going to open up Embellish. So I was showing you that if you do it this way, the original way, where you would just put a big piece of batting in your hoop and cut around all those 15 squares to get your batting. Or another option is that you can cut a 2 by 2 of your batting and glue it on with your glue stick and take out steps 1 and 2 to the placement and tack down of the main fabric, of the batting. The placement and tack down of the batting, steps 1 and 2, you would take those out if you choose to add the batting onto the block. So you could do that. Or if you wanted to really stretch, I'm going to show you another option. So I'm going to open up a new page. So I was playing around with this a little bit. So one thing is, if you're going to do it this way, then you need to sew your blocks together, but I recommend sewing them in 5s. All right. So 5 blocks and then another set of 5 blocks and another set of 5 blocks. And the reason for that is because then you can get them all in one hooping and you're saving on stabilizer. All right, so make sure that you've got your blocks sewn together if you're going to do this way, and have it make sure that it's a 1/4 inch seam allowance, all right, to get your 5 blocks. All right, and then I'm just going to show you real quick here. So if we go to merge stitch file, and I'm using that Christmas 1, so I'm going to find that cute gingerbread boy right there, double click on him, And again, you can use any quilting design you want, but I just want to show you this as an option. All right, so here's my gingerbread boy. I'm going to open him up and see we've got our placement of our and our tack down of our batting. And I know I don't want to do that because I'm going to add my batting on to my strip like we've done for our sashings and our inner borders and outer borders. I'm going to add this on with a glue stick to the entire strip. The strips of 5, by the way, because I'm going to do it in 3 sections. All right, so I know for sure I don't need number 1 and number 2, the placement and tack down of the batting. So I'm going to click to the right and then drag it over so that I get 1 and 2. That's the easiest way that I've found to be able to select those. And I'm going to click delete and throw those away. I don't need those. This is the placement of the main fabric, and I do want that because I want to use that to line up my blocks. All right, but this tack down of the blocks I actually don't want, because since we've already sewn this together, if we were to tack it down, it's going to go right into our seam. We don't need that. We don't want it. It'll get in the way. So I'm just going to click on 1, 2, and I'm going to click delete. So all I have now is the box and the quilting design. So I want to show you one thing here. So first off, if we are going to sew these together and then quilt them, we're going to want to make sure that our gingerbread is going the right direction, because if we did it right now the way that it is, our gingerbreads would be like lined up this way versus this way. So we want to make sure to turn that gingerbread boy. So I'm going to click on 1, 2, and I'm going to just rotate him to the right. Okay, so he's all turned now. That's perfect. Click outside so nothing is selected. So that's great. Now, one other thing that I was thinking about, when we sew these blocks together, the first one and the last one are 2 1/4 inches, and these inside ones are 2 inches because we've already used our seam allowance, that 1/4 inch seam allowance on each side, to be able to put them together. So those each measure 2 inches now. So this block, this 1, 1, it measures 2.5 by 2.5. So that's not going to work. We would have quite a long strip of quilting on a shorter strip of the block. So we need to change the size of the block. So I am going to, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move it over just to get it where I want it. So I'm going to click outside and then click on the whole design. All right, you can click up at this top part here of the design to be able to get it where you want it. And then click on the stitching, and I'm just going to move it over here. It doesn't have to be exact at all because we're going to move it again, but just moving it kind of over to the side basically. All right, so I want to change the size of the block, just the block, not the gingerbread boy. Very important. So I'm going to click outside. You can click anywhere in the workspace or in this objects window. It doesn't matter. You're just clicking so nothing is selected. And I'm going to click on this 1, 1. Now you can see over here, we've never done this, I don't think, before. You can see over here, it says that my block is 2.5 by 2.5. Now this block, this was locked. So this is locked and it's a scale proportionately. So if I click that so that it doesn't scale proportionally, because I don't want it to scale proportionally, usually you do, but on this I don't. So I'm going to click on that. You can see the little lock opens up. So it's an unlocked button now. So I'm going to click on this bottom one. Remember, I just have this 1, 1 clicked on. You can see it right there. And I'm going to click on this lower part, which is the vertical. So you can see the horizontal size and the vertical size. I want the vertical side. I want this one to be 2 1/4. All right, so I'm just going to click inside that box, take out that 2 and put in a 4. So it says 2 1/4. When I click anywhere else or return, either way, it will change the size of that box. All right, and it didn't change the size of my gingerbread. Now, one thing I noticed is that I want, so if you think about it, this gingerbread, I don't know if he's proportionate. I don't know if he is in the right place, but I know for us, he's not in the right place because I need that 1/4 inch seam allowance up at the top here. So I'm going to have to move my gingerbread. So I'm going to think about this one maybe just a little bit. I'm going to start on the second one and come back to this so that I can show you. All right, so we have this first one. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this first design, and I'm going to say Control-C to copy and then Control-V like victory to paste it. And I have a second one. It's right on top of the first one. I'm going to go ahead and use my down arrow key to bring it down here. It doesn't really matter where it is because we're going to move it again in a minute anyway. So on this, I'm going to click outside and I'm going to click on 2, 1, all right, just the box. And this one, I know I want it to be 2 inches. So I'm going to go up here, make sure it's on this vertical part, and I'm going to just take out this quarter here, the 2 1/4. I want it to say 2. Okay, and then hit return, and it changes the size of that box. All right, now don't forget that this is selected, so don't start moving it right now because of your gingerbread boy, but actually it's not going to matter because I'm going to show you something. So if I click outside so that nothing is selected and then click back on the whole design, so I'm on number 2, I want to move that up so that it is right over this blue line. All right, you can barely see it, so you have to look pretty closely, but we want it right on that blue line, and you'll see if it's too thick of a line, then you're off a little bit, and you can just move it around again until it's right on it. You want it right on it. All right, I'm going to click outside, and you can see. So that lined up perfectly. All right, so that one's done. So I'm going to click on 2, the whole design of number 2, and I'm going to say Control-C to copy and Control-V like victory to paste. All right, so we have another one. He's right on top of that first one. And don't forget to make sure that your 1 and 2 are lined up right on that line. And now we're going to bring down this third one until you can see that line that's underneath just right. So I'm going to click outside, and he's just right. So I want to show you what it looks like if he's not just right. So I'm going to click on number 3, and I'm going to move him down 1. So see, when I click elsewhere, you can see that that line is too thick, and that tells you that it's off just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on 3 again, move him up, and he's lined up just right. And you can see because we've got a nice thin line there. All right, so I'm going to do Control-V again, and then I'm just going to bring him down. I'm using my down arrow key. All right, and right on top of that first one. Might be one more. I'm not sure. I'll have to click. Yep, too far. All right, so number 4. Let's try up. Nope, too far. So I need to go up 2. 1, 2. Okay. Oh, that was really off. Look at that. I'm just not seeing that line. Now I can see it. All right, I have to just pay attention. Okay. Probably right there. Let's see. Yep. Little thick. No, he's good. Yeah. All right. So I used my mouse key to zoom in. You can always zoom in to check your work and see how close he is. All right, so that one is done. Now on the next one, the 5th one, we want the same as this first one. All right, and we never did line up that gingerbread boy. We do need to line up that gingerbread boy, but I don't want them lined up in that whole 2 1/4 inch block because I need that 1/4 inch seam allowance up at the top. So I just want to move down. So I'm just going to look at them, and like you can see on these how much the foot is away from the line. So I'm going to just not go for perfection. Don't change the whole block. Make sure to click on 1, 2. We just want to move the gingerbread boy, and I'm going to move on, like, let's see, 3 times. I'll click outside and see. That looks pretty good. So I clicked my down arrow 3 times. Now I've got my 1/4 inch seam here, and the foot of the gingerbread looks pretty close to the same as the others. Just zooming in to see. Maybe even one more. Let's try one more just in case. One more down. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. So 4 down is what I did. All right, I'm going to zoom back out. All right, so we have 4 of them. So now I need to just copy that first one. I'm going to click on 1, full of 1, so that gives me the box and the gingerbread boy. I'm going to say Control-C to copy and Control-V like victory to paste. All right, and I'm just going to bring him down, and I want to try and line him up. And this time we're going to have to move the gingerbread up, but I'm going to bring him down till he's right on that blue line underneath. Let's see if that's right. A little too thick. So I'm going to click on 5, go down one more. Yep, better. All right, so see how our gingerbread is close to the stitch, the seam. We want the gingerbread close to the seam so that we have this 1/4 inch seam allowance up here, and same thing, we want a 1/4 inch seam allowance down here. So I'm going to click on just the gingerbread boy. That doesn't work. You got to click on 5, 2, and I'm going to bring him up 4 since we did 4 on the other one. I'm going to see how that looks. 1, 2, 3, 4, and click outside so I can check him. He looks a little too far away to me. I think we need to bring him a little bit more. I don't know, maybe that is right, huh? What do you think? We could actually, if you really wanted to be perfectionist, which I never advocate, I'm going to click on this measuring ruler. And then if I click on, you have to pretty much do it at the same place. So the middle of the, I'm going to click on this blue line and click down to the gingerbread boy. And we've got like, what does it say? 3/16. All right, but you'd have to line it up in the same spot to be able to check it. I'm going to click this line and then down here, and I'm a little far over, 3/16. All right, so eyeballing is going to be totally fine. Like we don't need to get it exactly, and it really is exactly, so that's good. So it was 4 clicks, so I'm going to undo that ruler. Okay, and then we have the 5 done, but I want to add in a little thing. So remember that this first box is just placement. It's going to go right on our stabilizer to be able to line up our blocks, our strip. And so that's not going to tack it down. We can just tape it in place, or there's something else that we can do. I'm going to show you. I'm going to close all these up just so I have a little room. All right, I am going to go to Merge Stitch File. And again, this is optional. I'm going to go to my border, so let me find the 2x12 right there. 2x12, double click, goes to the center. Now I don't want all those parts. All I want, I'm going to just steal the basting stitch. So it's the tack down on the 2 sides, and I'll show you. So I'm going to click on 1, 2, 3, the first 3 parts, and I'm going to click delete. And then the quilting design, I don't want that, so I'm going to click on this 6-2. I'm going to click delete. See how I have just the sides to be able to tack it down and hold it in place before I do the quilting. So I like that. That will work really well. So I am going to take that and I'm going to just move it over. I'm going to use my left arrow keys. Excuse me. And I'm going to just eyeball this. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just want it to be able to hold down the strip, and you can just tape it in place if you prefer. Either way, so you can see, I think I'll move it over just a bit. Let's see how that works. All right, so that's fine. So I just moved it over. You're eyeballing it so that it is on each of the sides. It's not going to be exact because that's the 2.5 inches, and we want it to come in a little bit because our strip is 2.5 inches, and we want it in from that just a little bit to be able to tack it down. So I'm going to use that. Now one thing, look at our stitch order. It's going to do all of the placement. It's going to do all of the quilting. We need to change the order on all of this. So I have to think about that. I think an easy, quick, fast way of doing this, click outside so nothing's selected. I'm going to click on 1. I'm from the right-hand side dragging over. I'm going to click on 1-5, and I'm going to say Control C and then Control V like victory. And it's going to go on top, and it's going to come down at this bottom, but it goes on top of here. But I'm going to just go through here, and I'm going to delete the first one of each of those and the gingerbread of the top one. So on this 1-1, I'm going to click on the gingerbread, the 1-2, and click delete. 2, click the gingerbread, 2-2, click delete. 3, click the gingerbread and click delete. Another way of doing this would have been to just copy it all to another window and bring it back, but this works too. All right, where were we? So we need 4-2, click delete. 5-2, click delete. All right, and then we have that tack down right there. And then on these, so all of the 7, so on 7-1, I'm going to click delete. So I want that to get rid of the boxes on these next ones. So 7-1, click open for 8, click 8-1, click delete. And 9-1, click delete. 10-1, click delete. And 11-1, click delete. All right, so let's check what we've got here. So if we have just the box, the box, the box, 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 and then it's going to do all of those boxes, which we'll do a color sort so that we don't have to deal with all of that. but it's going to do all of those boxes, and then we're going to put down our fabric. It will tack down or do a basting stitch on the sides of that, and then it will run through and do each of those cute little gingerbread boys. All right, so that's all perfect. Yep, perfect. That's great. Fun. That's quite a stretch right there. All right, so we want to do a color sort so that it will do all of those boxes together, and it will do all of the gingerbread boys together. And then I want to show you something else. So don't forget, we need 3 rows of this, but I'm thinking we could do all of the first part, all of these boxes, we could do that together. I think it'd be too much to hold them all in place while it runs that basting stitch on all 3 strips because of the way that they are. I'm thinking for me, I'm going to do them a little bit separate. Like I'm going to do one whole strip, another whole strip, another whole strip. Although you could do the boxes, but I'm not going to bother with that. All right, so this one is done. I'm going to do a color sort. So right now we have 11 color steps. I'm going to go to Utility Color Sort. Don't forget to make sure before you do that you're not over the hoop, that it's centered where you want it. You can check if it's centered. I don't know if we even did that actually. So if I'm going to, oh, it is. Good. That was lucky. We must have done it at some point. I don't remember. Anyway, so what I did is I clicked from the right-hand side and I'm just dragging to get all of the parts, and I'm just checking to make sure that the black squares are in the center, right down here, to make sure that the design is centered. Now notice that this basting stitch is going to go over from the front and from the bottom because it's bigger. I don't care about that. Doesn't matter. It'll run on the stabilizer. That doesn't matter to me at all. All right, so that's all done. I'm going to go to Utility Color Sort, and I have 11 color steps. Design page has been sorted but not reduced. Let's check that. New view. So it opens up a new tab. They're all in one design now, and there is all of our placement that's going to be on our stabilizer so that we can line up each of those boxes just right with our strip. All right, and then we're going to put that strip down and we're going to run our tack down, and then it's going to run all of the quilting designs. All right, perfect. I wonder why it said it's not reduced. It's 3 color steps now instead of 11. It definitely reduced. All right, so that one's done. Notice it moved our whole design to the center, so we do need to move that back. I'm going to go ahead and just click on one, and I'm going to bring it over. I'm going to click my left arrow key to move that over. All right, I'm in my 9x14 hoop, so I should be able to fit all 3 of these. So if I were to do that again, I have to think about this. I think I want to do I don't think I'm going to do another color sort. I think I'm going to do my strips separate. You could absolutely do them all together, but to me that's a little bit stressful. I want to be able to get these lined up just right. And you could just tape it in place and trust the process, but I'm going to just do one strip at a time. All right, 5 blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and click on all of that number 1, and I'm going to say Control C to copy and Control V like victory to paste. And then I'm going to move that because it goes right over the top one. I'm just going to move that to the center, and I'm going to use those black squares to make sure that I am right in the center. You can see right here and down here. All right, and that is done. I'm going to say Control V because it's already copied. So now I'm just going to paste, and then I'm going to move it over to the right-hand side. And I am not going to do a color sort again. I'm kind of tempted to, but I really don't want to. I want to do these 3 separate. So what you could do if you wanted to, you could do all of those, the blue lines, the placements, you could do all of those at the same time. And this is the part I don't want to do at the same time, but all of the quilting designs you could do at the same time. So here's an idea. How about this? What if I change the color on this one? I think let's try that. So I'm on 2-2. I'm going to change the color so that it will not join with the other one. I'm going to click Oriole. And then on 3-2, I'm going to click on the color. I'm going to choose the 3rd color down, which for me is Coral. All right, and then I can do a color sort, and it should do all these blues together and then stop and do these, and then we can move the gingerbread boys. All right, so I'm going to do that. So let's see. We have 9 color steps right now. Again, you can be done. This could be great just the way that it is, and a little less stressful. But or you can do all of the quilting together. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a try. I'm going to say utility, color sort, and let's see what it does. It's been reduced by 4 color changes, new view, so that it opens a new tab. They're all in one design now. So there are all of our boxes. That's perfect because we don't need to worry about that at all. It's going to just stitch on our stabilizer. And then there's the placement for that first one. Now look at, it's going to do this all together. So you have to make sure to move this. We will not be ready for this. We need this to be the last step. So I'm going to right click on that and say move last. All right, so there is our tack down of our first strip, our tack down of our second strip, our tack down of our third strip, and then all of the gingerbread boys quilting together. Perfect, perfect. All right, so one other thing I didn't mention that I should have, so this one is all done in one design. This is perfect. I need to do a save as, but before we do that, I just want to point out, so if I click on this first design, you want to check your sizing, and if you did it just like how I did, and all of your lines aren't too thick or anything, everything's super close, then it will be perfect. But you can't tell the size. So right now it says it's 11 3/4. That's because of this basting stitch. So if I open this up, I want the all of the boxes, and then I'm going to hit the control button to see all the gingerbread. I want to check the size of that. Notice it is 10.5 inches. That's important. So that's what you want, is you want your whole strip to end up at 10.5 inches, because these are 2.5 inches. So 2.5, 2.5, but really it's 2 1/4 because you're losing that 1/4 inch. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then that 1/4 inch, that's 10.5. Okay. So when you sew these together, your strip should measure 10.5 inches, and your quilting block will be 10.5 inches. All right. That's how you know that you got these lined up right. It will be 10.5 inches. All right. Perfect. So I'm going to go back to this one that's all done. I'm going to save file, save stitch file as, and I'm going to change this to say, let's see, 3 strips. What was this? Row 3B, whatever you want to name it, doesn't matter. You can put in the size of your hoop, whatever's going to help you to find it. Christmas one, good. So that's where I want it. That's perfect. I'm going to say save, and I'm going to send it to my machine. Utility, send to Solaris XP1. If you don't have that, you would just put in a USB stick, save it to your USB stick, bring it over to your machine. All right, so again, that was just a stretch exercise. If you don't feel like cutting all of that batting, it's a lot of batting. So this way, we're just going to add that batting onto the strip, making sure to have no batting at the top and the bottom, right? So you're going to have 10 inches of batting in your 10.5 inch strip. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let me know which way you did. Using the other way where you have them all with the batting in one hooping, that's fine too. Absolutely fine. Turn on a Hallmark movie and sit there and cut all your batting. Either way will work. This is just an extra stretch for those that are interested. are you doing with your goal? What is your goal? I want to hear about it, whatever it is, and what you're doing to work toward it and stay active with it. So my goal is exercise. Because I had 4 weeks that I really couldn't do anything. I could start walking after 3 weeks. But anyway, so I'm trying to get back into the spirit of doing activity. So I did a lot, actually. So Thursday night, my husband and I went for a bike ride, and I wanted to ride. My club does a bike ride every Thursday night, so I wanted to join in with them, but I knew they were going to be way too strong, way too fast. I won't be able to keep up with them. And my husband definitely was concerned about that as well for himself. So what we did instead is we met them up. So like they rode down from Boise and we rode up or west from Eagle and met up with them and didn't tell them we were going to be there or anything. So we get up to the top of this first little climb, and then I saw the big pack of them coming. So that was super fun. It was really fun because I didn't have to keep up with them. I didn't have to push, we just did our own ride, but still got to see our friends. So that was pretty fun. I really enjoyed that. That was on Thursday. Friday, Friday we went and hiked Table Rock, and my husband wasn't going to be able to go, and I'm like, that's totally fine. I'm going to go though. It's a beautiful day. I want to make sure to get out and do this. And I had the previous tutorial on my mind trying to get that done, and I knew it was gorgeous out. I have to take advantage of the fact that there's sunshine, and otherwise I'll get really grouchy if I'm just sitting in front of a computer the whole time. So I made it work. I was like, I don't care, whatever things get in the way, I'm going to go climb Table Rock. And so I leave. I send my husband a text saying I'm gonna go. I'm leaving now for Table Rock, and he says, pick me up. He was at a meeting, and so I picked him up and he joined me, and we went, and he said, climb at your own pace, do it your own way, because he knew that he was not going to push hard. And I'm like, no problem. So we kind of just did our own thing. So he climbed it, I climbed up to the top of it, and really enjoyed it. Super enjoyed it. That was my first time of climbing Table Rock in a long time. I think maybe even the first time of the year. I'm not absolutely sure about that, but with the weather the way it was and then my surgery, this was really exciting for me. So I really enjoyed it a lot. And as I'm coming down, my husband was probably only like a half a mile away. He hadn't gone so slow or anything. Like, it was really nice. So then we got to hike down to the bottom together and had a really great time. Really enjoyed it. Always a really good workout. This hike is like 900 feet of climbing in 3.5 miles. So it's pretty intense. Like, it is very, very steep, very hard. So enjoyed that a lot. That was on Friday. Saturday, a friend said that she wanted to hike Table Rock with me, and so we were going to do that, and then she ended up canceling, which 2 days of Table Rock in a row would have been pretty rough, I think. So I asked my husband if he wanted to go with me to this other one. It's called Linktree Gulch, and it's like there's just these paths everywhere, and you can go wherever, and there's definitely a lot of incline, and then there's a lot of parts where it's pretty flat too. So I told him, you can come with me, but I want 4 miles. I don't care, what it is, because I know Table Rock is like monster climb, and this one's not as much climb. So I wanted distance. So for my workouts, I wanted to get 4 miles. And he hooted and hollered and didn't want to do that much. And he ended up going to the car, and that's fine, right? Everybody's got to do it their own way. So when he hit, I think about 3 miles or so, he went back to the car, and I kept on going. And I was looking for every little pitch that I could find to try and get enough feet. I think I ended with about 600 feet of climbing. And so that was great. Really enjoyed that. And that is quiet. There's like no people around. It was very quiet, very relaxed, and just do your own thing. So I enjoyed that a ton. That was Saturday. And then Sunday, the club had a group ride, but I ended up not sleeping at all. I'm on this pill for the cancer blocker pill, and a lot of times I just don't get to go to sleep, and I did not sleep at all that whole night. And so I didn't go and try and keep up with the club. And so we ended up not doing anything really. We had like a totally relaxed day. We did take the dogs for a walk, I think like 2.5 miles. And that was nice, but super relaxed pace, really not a workout at all. but movement, right? At least it was movement. And I caught up on downloading some computer files that I needed and organizing some things. And so just a very relaxed day. So good weekend as far as lots of activity and one day of relaxing. What did you do this past weekend? Whether it went with your goal or without, I want to hear something, a little something. I'm telling you my life story here. I want to hear how it's going for you. And my shirt today, this is kind of an older one, but I like it. It's pretty. It's that I've told you about this shirt. It comes in like a bright pink and a teal color. I think there's a blue one. Lots of different colors. This one's just the plain white, and I've got a monogram on it that is so fun. This is like a patchwork monogram. I'm not really sure what it's called, but I will add a link underneath this video of where I got this patchwork monogram. It's so fun. I love this one. Very fun. And on the back, it's got a really cool design. Let me tell you about this. There's like this little, what do you call it? Like, I don't know, a camisole type thing that I'm wearing on the inside. I figured I've been wearing all these zip up shirts, have something a little bit pretty peeking out from it. I thought that's really pretty. I'll add a link to my Amazon store. I'll put this in my Amazon store. It's just a pretty little lacy top that can go underneath zip up sweaters. I think that's pretty fun. So the back of my sweater is this storm design. I'm not sure if it's still available. If it is, I will definitely add a link underneath this video, but it's pretty fun. It says something like they told her you can't withstand the storm, and she replies and says, I am the storm. And I love that, right? Like we hit all of these obstacles in our lives, and yet we get through all of them and we get stronger for them. We learn from them as long as we are making sure to hold ourselves accountable and learn from our experiences and keep our side of the street clean. We're doing pretty good. We're learning the things that we're supposed to be learning and becoming the people that we're supposed to be. So I love this sweater. It's a really fun one. So I'll add information on the sweater and the little lace insert thing in my Amazon storefront for you.